Hey everyone, it's Katie, and I'm here to give you the event planning presentation for the online e-induction. After completing this presentation, you will be able to understand the importance of event planning, define and describe the various events you should offer your residents, and how to successfully host an event from start to finish. As you will remember from the community building presentation, one of your main goals is to build strong relationships with your residents and community in your locations. We want you to not only develop professionally, but personally develop the lives of each of your residents. By hosting various events, you will allow them to think outside the box and form meaningful relationships with their peers.
You see what they want, you assess their wants, because if you're going to have a comedy movie night and half of your residents are only interested in horror movies, that's going to be a bit of a colossal fail. You see what they want and you make your event successful. We had like culturally themed nights where the turnout was amazing. I would say 130, 140 people kind of popped into the common room over 3 hours. Yeah. It's great. So I mean, I would say it's all about feedback.
They need to be in a kind surprised, I would say. Something new, something. And then it's also luck with the mixture of people, because if people mingle who really start to like each other, who get along very well, then it becomes a pretty good success.
What I can offer and what makes a good event, my initial thought was we'll make it free. Because free stuff does get people to turn up. To think about, would I do this? Would I come to this event? Would I pay money to it?
I think a lot of us measure it by the amount of people who come. But I don't think that's necessarily fair. I think it's more about how much people who are there enjoy themselves. And I remember with the Chinese New Year in our residence, there weren't very many people there, but the people who were there had such a great time.
Afraid of charging money. You've got budget, use it to subsidise events. I mean, we are about to run a trip to the zoo with a decent offer and a bit of subsidy on top. It makes it sound like a fantastic deal. It is a fantastic deal, but you don't have to be a marketing major to sell something when you say it's £15 off.
I agree with that. I think it's not about the number of people that are there. It's about the quality of the time that they have there.
In the same respect, I ran a trip to the Highlands in November, where we essentially took a tour that would normally have cost a couple of £100 for the weekend, but where we were able to sell it as pay us £50 up front, you'll need another 25 over the weekend, and we're good. It was really popular. Now you'd think, who's going to pay £50 and then know they're going to have to pay more money? But by selling it like that and then saying that there is a discount, you do appeal to a certain kind of resident. And so don't be afraid of running a good event that costs money, because people...
Events that are paid or not, if it's a good event, it's a good event. Cost should not... I mean, cost should come into account, but it should not be a hindrance.
Yeah.
And if only 10 people are interested, well, then you cater towards 10 people who would otherwise maybe not show up to something.
The event matrix. This event matrix displays how residents' life views event planning. You will notice that the first section is connection to your residents. Once you have built this connection, you will expand it into the connection of your house and site. From here, you will start making connections to the Greater University of Edinburgh. From there, you will make connections to the City of Edinburgh. And finally, from there, you will make connections to Greater Scotland. Your event curriculum will reflect this matrix in the events that you're required to host. So, what types of events do you think you'll be hosting? Residence Life offers events in 8 different topic areas. This is so that we can engage students from all different backgrounds with different interests. The newest one, academic events, is an area we are hoping all sites focus on especially this year. The numbers next to each of the bulleted topics is the amount of events you need to host in each category. This is the minimum, although most sites will hold more than the stated numbers. Here is your timeline for events. Things will start kicking off over coming up weekend. During Freshers Week, we require you to take your residents to at least one event per day that USA is hosting. Additionally, you will be required to host one event at your site during Freshers Week. Most sites will do some sort of a welcome event, like a barbecue, dessert reception, even a hike in Hollywood Park up Arthur's Seat if the weather's nice. This first welcome event will be key in starting to build a community at your site. I know it's hard to think down the road to January, but please do keep in the back of your head that you will be required to hold an additional welcome event for those residents who move in mid-year. We do recommend that you host more events at the beginning of the semester when student enthusiasm and interest is higher, but your events should be consistent throughout the academic year. Community building. As you know from the community development presentation, it is important to provide your community fun yet focused events early in the autumn semester that set the bar for the rest of the year. You will have residents come to see what an event is like, and if they aren't impressed then, they will probably not come back to an event all year. Your community builders can be social in nature, or they can focus on a need that you see. Feel free to organize more than 3 community builders. In fact, most houses and flats will have many more than 3 community builders next year. So remember, this is a minimum, not a maximum. It is important for our students to feel connected in the larger campus community. Getting to know the area is a great way to show students the city that they'll be living in while they study at the University of Edinburgh. Some of your community builders can be used to show students what opportunities are present around every corner. This can include bringing residents to a large event that is occurring on campus throughout the efforts of another office or a trip to a location in Edinburgh. Feel free to join with other houses and flats to attract the most residents. Have you ever heard of the Freshman 15? This stems from a belief that when first-year students come to the university, they are bombarded with many different food options. Pubs, catered dining facilities offering all-you-can-eat buffets, takeaway and delivery options. I think I'm getting hungry now. So anyways, moving on. As you can imagine, many of these are not extremely healthy. Students can also become less physically active during this time as they spend a lot of nights watching movies or sitting in front of the computer studying. So unfortunately, being inactive, I guess, is just not limited to first-year students. Your wellness and athletic event is meant as a way to encourage your residents to become more active. Some students are a bit self-conscious about their coordination or ability to participate in organized sports, and these fears should be kept in mind when planning your events. So perhaps you may offer incentives for the most vocal fan or the best dressed supporter. This could also be a cooking competition that highlights healthy cooking with delicious foods. And for academically stressful times in the year, like revision, exams, you can maybe host study breaks that are a form of mental well-being. So think yoga and yogurt or massages. These are always really popular amongst the students and do fit the wellness athletic event topic area. If you ask a fourth-year student what events they remember from their time in university accommodation, they're most likely to say that they remember their house ball, the flats party, Kaylee's they attended, or anything that can never be forgotten. This is what makes living on campus at the University of Edinburgh unique. Each site will have their own traditions that continue on from year to year, so really take pride in enjoying hosting events in the tradition category. One exciting part of coming to university is meeting all sorts of new people and experiencing different ideas. Culture can include specific nationalities or can be extended to include the arts, for example, theater, cinema, dance, and museums. It should be noted that when speaking about personal cultures and attitudes, differences should be celebrated, but they can oftentimes cause stress and anxiety. Hosting a cultural event is not meant to be tedious, but rather to highlight the wonders of our world. Examples have included buffet meals where students bring a dish to pass from their own culture or family, trips to museums narrated by a lecturer, traditional dance exhibits, or fashion shows. Don't forget about the fact that you are now living in a community where many members may celebrate different holidays from one another. Determine what holidays those are and introduce your residents to new ones by celebrating the holiday season. We can all positively impact the lives of others. Charity reconfirmed that students are members of the City of Edinburgh community as well as the global community. If you have a specific charity that you would like to host an event for, please do discuss this with your team members and line managers, and if you feel like it could be an event that's held site-wide, do not hesitate to pitch the idea to the Residence Life coordinators. Students living in our accommodation must be conscious of how their actions and choices affect the environment and should be encouraged to think critically before making choices that may adversely impact the lives of others around them. Yes, I'm talking about sustainability. Residents should be encouraged to be intentional about living in a manner that enhances the residence hall community and will encourage others to do the same. You can create events that inform students about the community-based impact of their choices on themselves and others. Do encourage practices that ensure the sustainability of the environment. Examples can include movie nights with a sustainable theme, stairs for sustainability, so if you live in a site with a lift, encourage students to take the stairs instead, the free shop, love food, hate waste at Pollock, or local farmer markets. Academic events. We will be discussing academic initiative events more in detail during RA training. For now, you can know that there are 3 basic areas to the academic event module. The first is Residence Life Wine and Cheese Lecture Series. This was piloted last year in Pollock and proved to be a giant success. Next is Study Groups, which is connecting residents and sites with others who are in the same college. Finally is the Joint Study Skills Workshop. This is hosted by the Institute for Academic Development, the USA Class Reps, and Residence Life. Academic achievement is one of the top focuses of students. Therefore, creating communities that support academic achievement is a priority of Residence Life. This relates back to our accommodation being more than just a place to eat and sleep, but also a place that is a community of living and learning. Learning is not just in the classroom. Residents should be encouraged to create, implement, and share tools and techniques that foster academic success. To promote and foster this environment, Residence Life staff organizes events that promote academic and curricular growth with skill and development. So now I'm going to tell you how to successfully host an event in 8 easy steps. You will see this event template under the events section of your online e-induction, so feel free to pull it at any time if you need it as a resource, and we will go ahead and get started. So the first step is assessment. This will start when you are in the beginning planning stages of your event. You will need to ask yourself, who is your audience? We did discuss a little bit in the community development presentation that you will be having residents from all different backgrounds with different hobbies or interests. So it's really important to find out what they want. Not everybody is sporty in the house and won't want to come out to a Pollock football tournament. Not everybody likes chess. So again, survey your students, find out what they want, and then think about what resources you have available to you. Step 2 are goals. So in the back of your mind, you need to think, what would your budget be for this event? What is the theme of this event? What kind of format will you host it in? Where do you want to have the event? And who specifically do you want to target to come to this event? So again, steps 1 and 2 are kind of the brainstorming sections of how to host the events. Step 3, collaboration. The more the merrier. I always like to say this. So don't be afraid to involve other people in the process. This may be fellow RAs from different sites. This may be different societies or organizations that the University of Edinburgh has to offer you. You know, don't go ahead and reinvent the wheel. If someone is already hosting a Kaylee and you want to collaborate with them, you know, go right ahead. The more the merrier. We're all for it. Remember that people help support what they create. So if you get people to buy in to collaborate for your event, if they're involved in the planning stages, they will be more supportive throughout the entire facilitation of the event. So step 4, once you've brainstormed and you figured out if you want to collaborate with people, you will have your pre-planning. So pre-planning, take the time now to really think about the details. You will need to request and reserve venues, find out if space is available, finalize your budget. I'm definitely going to talk about budget later, but you'll want to talk to your accommodation manager or warden about what budget you have for each event. You want to create an event checklist that includes all the specific tasks you might need, set deadlines for yourself and responsible parties. Conduct a backwards planning session. So not all events require a lot of detailed planning, especially, for example, if you're going to host a movie night. It's pretty easy. Walk into your common area or take your students to the cinema and say, hey guys, we're going to see this movie, or what movie do you want to plan? Really not a lot to go into that. However, if you're planning on renting out a nightclub for the flats party, there's a lot that goes into that. Signing contracts, meeting with people ahead of time, making sure that everything's there and organized, etc. So depending on the size of your event will depend on how much pre-planning goes into it. Step 5 is advertising. I would hate for you to put all this time and effort into planning your event and then nobody shows because they haven't heard about it. So really think about the mediums that you can use to advertise to your students. A suggestion that worked really well for a lot of sites last year is each site, as you already know, has their house or site Facebook group. So feel free to, write in your Facebook group, create an event, get students to attend or decline so that you know your numbers. Put posters up around your sites, word of mouth. I know it sounds silly, but I've even seen a man in a gorilla suit passing out flyers at the student center. So whatever works for you, 2 thumbs up on creativity there. If you follow steps 1 through 5, everything should be set to roll, so that will put you into step 6, which is the day before the event. This is your day to confirm. You want to cross your T's, dot your I's, tie up all your loose ends, make sure you're prepared for anything. Step 7, the day of the event. So you want to walk through the event in your mind and make sure that you have everything completed. Double check your list, confirm with all your volunteers that they're going to be there, pick up any equipment that you may have, check in on the venue, meet up with entertainers prior to the event, and make sure that they know when and where they need to be. Once the events get started, everyone will sit back and enjoy. So congratulations, you've hosted your event. Pat yourself on the back. You'll be really proud once you finish your first event for those new RAs who haven't done it yet. So what do you do next? You want to make sure that you follow up in step 8. So you want to make sure you complete your event evaluation so that Residence Life can make note that you completed one of the event topic areas. You want to thank anybody who helped you put on this event. If you had guests come in or guest speakers, or if you had other site RAs come and help facilitate things, make sure you keep those connections strong. Chances are they may utilize you later in one of their events, so good to keep things going there. Make sure that you return any equipment that you have borrowed or found to the place where you got it from, especially if you're taking things out of the RRC or if you're using the mic system that Residence Life has. We need the equipment back, I would say probably within 48 hours, if not sooner. Just don't want to let that drag because you'll forget about it, we'll forget about it, and then we'll run around trying to sort things out later, and that's never good. So get your equipment back in, ask for feedback, and write an evaluation. And again, complete your event evaluation form so that we can give you credit for all the hard work that you did. Budgeting for an event. You will be handling a lot of money as an RA. You will be receiving funds from your line manager to go out and buy supplies for your events. So the number one thing I need to reinforce is that you need to discuss with your line manager well in advance of spending any money how you will buy event supplies for your events. In the past, we have had RAs go out and spend money without getting permission from their line manager, and unfortunately they were not able to be reimbursed. We do need to make sure that you are approved for everything so that you're not spending money that we don't have. We do have specific budgets set for each of the sites. So if you talk to your accommodation manager or warden, there should be no problems. Just please do this before you go out and spend any of your funds. The other thing to keep in mind is one of the policies of the University of Edinburgh, not just Residence Life, but the greater university, is that you must have a receipt to be reimbursed. We have heard in the past many stories of how RAs have lost their receipts, or they didn't receive a receipt, or the dog ate my receipt. We've heard everything about why you don't have receipts, but just keep in mind, if you don't have a receipt, you can't get reimbursed. The last part of the event evaluation will be submitting your event report. You will be given this link. It will be in your RA handbook, and when you submit this link, I suggest bookmarking it to your computer so that you don't have to type it in every time. But when you go in to submit, you'll put things in like the title of the event, the date it was hosted, the location of the event. Was it in a common room? Was it at a pub? Was it at Peppermill, for example? The topic area that the event expectation covers, so if it's going to be athletic or wellness, cultural diversity, whichever one that you want to pick, the total number of attendees, and then not just the total number of attendees, but the ones that came specifically from your site if it was a joint event. You will also put in income collected from the students and where that income is going. So if you collected money for a charity, for example, there'll be a section for you to note that. Or if there was any money collected to subsidize the event, you'll need to note that there as well. One thing I need to say is when you put in your total cost of the event, you're going to want to talk about the amount deducted from the amenities budget. So the total cost and then any student contribution if applicable. But be mindful to complete both these fields, otherwise we'll have to follow up with you. So you need to put in the total cost of the event and then any money that's been deducted from money that you've collected. Well, congratulations. You've finished the event planning presentation, so thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Again, we will be going over this more in detail during RA training, so if you have any questions from this presentation, please note them down and don't hesitate to ask them when we see you in September. Thanks. Bye.